Welcome back to another episode of Big Apple Breakdown. Today we have our 13th episode. Baseball is back. The New York Yankees start off red hot with their new torpedo bats. The New York Mets start off their season as Juan Soto makes his Mets debut. Baseball's back, and we're back to get going.
Yes, sir. It was a great weekend of baseball. Opening day, opening weekend. As always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on all our social media. Leave a comment, everything. Thank you, guys.
So I think we got to start off with the new torpedo bat that went viral, not only in the baseball world, but the entire sports news has been talking about it and has even accused the Yankees of cheating, although it is legal.
I think it's funny just because the Yankees were not the only ones to use this bat this weekend, and the only reason that this is the Yankees cheating. It's not even real baseball people are not calling it a Yankees cheating thing. It's just casual fans who really don't know what they're talking about. And the only reason that they're saying that is because Michael Kay brought it up on the Yankees broadcast. This has been something that was used last year too. Like, it's not just the Yankees using this.
So pretty much the way the torpedo bat works is an MIT guy sees a player take 1,000 swings, studies where his bat's hitting the ball, and pretty much, like for Anthony Volpe, for example, he was getting jammed a lot in the inside of his bat. So you put more of the wood towards that area, and maybe it's smaller at the end. So pretty much, the barrel's not bigger than a regulation bat. You're just think of a budget, and you're putting more towards your strength and less towards your weaknesses.
Yeah, you're just taking the fat part of the bat and moving it down towards the middle, which is completely. If you read MLB Rule 3.02, it's got to be a smooth, round stick, and all it says is that the thickest part can't be more than 2.16 inches in diameter. So it doesn't mean that – so all that means is that wherever the thickest part is, it doesn't say the thickest part has to be on the end. You could put the thickest part in the middle, and that's – all that means.
So now a bunch of teams are ordering these. I think the Braves put in an order. A lot of players are going to try this out. But the thing is, this is something where the Yankees were ahead of this. They've been doing this since 2024 for spring training, according to Jose Trevino, who's not even on the team anymore. And this is something that I don't think a lot of people, like a lot of players even realize this, that it's not something you can just pick up and be like, oh, like let me try this one out. It's designed to each player's personnel, so it's going to take time for data to come in. Like I saw Pete Alonso say he wants to try one out, but like that's easier said than done.
Yeah, it's not, oh, I want a torpedo bat, and next day you have one. It's not one size fits all. Like, you have to get these fitted for the specific guys. And again, a bunch of other guys are using it. Ellie De La Cruz used one the other day.
Lindor
used one.
Ryan Jeffers.
Yeah, on the Twins.
You're going to see these keep
someone
coming.
on the Rays, Junior, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And even Jose Trevino used one for the Reds.
The Yankees.
So.
Last year, he used it for the Yankees. Okay. He's had it for a bit. But pretty much, do you think there's any chance this could get banned?
No.
You don't think at all?
It would get to the point, because people are trying to compare it like, oh, if you're going to let them have these torpedo bats, let the pitchers have their sticky stuff. And that's like comparing apples to oranges, in my opinion. This is perfectly within the rule, and the pitchers have their own rule of things that they could use to get a better grip on the ball, and that's just the rosin bag.
Look, the only reason why people are calling for a ban is because the Yankees had such an awesome weekend. They had 15 home runs in one series and continued it even yesterday in a loss where I believe they had 3 home runs. And pretty much people are calling for them to be banned, but look, you need to see more data, but like, what if the home runs are up by like 100? That's the only way I could see it. If guys are hitting, like, guys that aren't going to hit 40 home runs, that are 25, 30 home run guys, hitting 40 consistently, just having career years, that's the only way I could see getting banned. You would have to see records be broken by the most home runs in a season.
Yeah, and I don't think that'll happen because it's baseball. People love to get so caught up on opening weekend, this fast start the Yankees got off to, but that could just wither away and they could get ice cold. It's not the bat. Yeah. Lindor had a horrible weekend and he was using the bat. So I think people are making too big of a deal about the bat. It's the player and the approach they're taking. Pat Murphy, the manager of the Brewers, said that it's not the wand, it's the magician. And
well, you got to give the Yankees some credit. Their lineup might be better than most anticipated going into the year. They got a lot of depth in this lineup, and a lot of guys had really good weekends. Look, that's not going to keep up because that's just not possible. It's baseball,
Yeah.
like you said. But you got to tip your hat to the Yankees, I think, more than call it cheating or call it for ban.
Yeah, it's definitely not cheating. And like you said, if they get together and say, oh, we have X amount more home runs this year than we did last year, then you could talk about maybe changing up the rule, outlawing it in some capacity. But you can't outlaw it at this point because you make a claim that the Yankees are cheating. It's just dumb.
So now moving on to the actual play on the field instead of talking about just the torpedo bats. The New York Yankees had a great opening series. They killed the Brewers. They're sitting at 3-1 right now. The offense has been red hot, and I'm just impressed by what I'm seeing from the offense so far.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable, especially that game too. Obviously, the 9-home-run game, breaking their franchise record and tying the Cincinnati Reds back when Boone played for them, actually, as the second most home runs in a game. The only team that had more was the Blue Jays way back in the day. But, facing their old friend, Nestor Cortez, led off the game with 3 home runs.
In three pitches, which has never happened in MLB history, which is just insane.
Mm-hmm.
I just tip your hat to Aaron. Aaron Judge is just... I really think we put this poll up and it seemed like you guys agreed. Aaron Judge is having the best prime since Barry Bonds. This guy is just ridiculous what he's doing. I mean, so impressive. He can just hit everything. He has 4 home runs and 2 doubles. He doesn't even have a single on the season.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The guy is just... Look, I mean, we'll keep waiting for him for his age to hit because he's in his 30s, but this guy's just ridiculous, and it's just... Appreciate greatness because this is something you may never see again.
Yeah, he's 32. Mm-hmm. Not old. I don't think that's going to catch up to him anytime soon. But yeah, it's just unbelievable. And I'm really happy that he got out to a quick start this year because although I admittedly can be pretty negative and pessimistic with all the bad that was happening to the Yankees this offseason, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, what if Aaron Judge gets off to a bad start?
Yeah.
Then we're really screwed.
Yeah. And
he put that to doubt, or that to bed already.
Well, this was a great weekend for the Yankees. I mean, after a lot of talk in the offseason, they lost Juan Soto, Garrett Coles, Tommy John. It was a little negative energy going around the Yankees going back to the World Series last year. And, they just had a great start. And now all everyone's talking about is the torpedo bats accusing the Yankees of cheating. And when you're accusing the Yankees of cheating, that's how you know, like, okay, Yankees are a little bit back, evil empire type stuff.
Yeah. I could see that.
Look, it's 3 games.
It is 3 games,
You can't ask for a better start.
Oh, yeah, you cannot ask for a better start at all. And
well, it's 4 games. We're 3
4 games, but focusing on that first series right now. Even Volpe and Wells, I mean, Volpe
has 2 home runs now.
2 home runs
Wells
now.
has 2 home runs. Chisholm has 3. I mean, yesterday Dominguez looked good. You brought this up that now every single position is at a home run.
Yeah, technically Bellinger hit his playing left field, but he's going to be the primary center fielder. But every position on the Yankees have hit a home run through the first 4 games.
Peraza had 1 at bat.
Peraza had 1 at bat.
That's third base.
Yeah.
Because I was saying that to you. I'm like, I don't think third base has, I forgot Peraza.
And you got to push back on that a little bit when I said, Peraza hit 1, but hit it in a pinch hit situation. So
some Yankee things I noticed. Goldschmidt's a leadoff guy. I believe he's leadoff again tonight.
He is.
We're recording this 6 p.m. Wednesday, April 2nd. A little surprising. I'm wondering. We all kind of thought Wells lead off. He did it opening day. I don't know if it's just because the offense has been so great. I think you just got to keep it the hot hand.
Yeah, I think so too, and I would keep it with Goldie as leadoff. The thing that threw me off is before game 1 even, Boone said, we're not going to mess with the lineup. Wells is going to be the leadoff for this first series. And then what did Boone do? He messed with the lineup, put Goldie as the leadoff, and it worked. Honestly, the 9 home runs. Yeah. And then against Savali in game 3, he said that he was going to keep the lineup because I guess the reverse splits against him. Righties hit him better than lefties, so then he kept Goldie in the leadoff and kept that lineup the same.
Yeah, I mean, he even kept against Corbin Burns, who's a very tough righty, one of the best, and they actually hit him pretty well. I mean, they lost that game because of the bullpen, which, I saw some Yankee fans complaining just because they complain about anything. I'm more of the positive one here, but even you didn't seem that upset about the loss yesterday. Their bullpen was like Mark Leiter Jr., who's actually kind of pitched well for them recently, going back to the postseason last year, gave up a grand slam. Frustrating, but if they're best closer isn't having a kid.
Yeah.
Weaver's in the game. I think they end up winning that game. They're missing bullpen pieces.
I was definitely upset about it, but it's just something. He was so close to getting out of that inning, and then he gave up shorter fence out there to left field. Mm-hmm. Gave up that home run. He was one strike away from getting out of that inning.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
He came in a jam, and he worked the Yankees out of that jam, and just gave up one home run.
I mean, they're just missing a ton of bullpen pieces.
They are, yeah.
Hamilton, who should be kind of back soonish, I believe. And then Jake Cousins is going to be out for a bit. Loizaga, and then Devin Williams. That's 4 guys that are in really over those guys. Tim Hill's the only one that, because we didn't even pitch yesterday. Tim Hill's the only one that is going to be a part of the normal bullpen rotation.
And Ottavino, I was shocked when we signed Ottavino.
He's going to be some. Is he even on the minor league team? I didn't realize that.
No, they signed him to a major league.
Okay, contract. But he won't be on that. You think I think he's just there because of Devin Williams. I thought that's what.
We sent someone to the IL yesterday.
Okay, so that's surprising. I mean, Adam Ottavino.
I actually thought that was an April Fool's joke. I'm not even
that's
joking.
Funny. Some other things I noticed with the Yankees. So Judge is 3 again, Bellinger 2, which normally nowadays you put your best player 2, but the way Judge hits a 3. Just keep him there. I mean, the guy's so good. I know you want your Judge game more at bats, but this lineup's working. I'm sure the lineup will be tuned in. I
think also coming into the season, Judge expected to be batting 3rd, and I think he's comfortable at 3. I think he's comfortable at 2 too. Like, you can put him anywhere in the lineup, and he's just a team guy. But yeah, I think he's comfortable there. I thought it was funny. Judge went up 3-0. in a bat on Saturday, and then they just walked him. And we're sitting there watching the game, and I'm going on and on about Jazz Chisholm's approach, and I'm like, I don't like how he has his approach, whatever.
He looks great.
And then he just smoked a home run.
This was before his first home run of the year, so this is before the 2 home run game he had Sunday. And, I mean, this lineup just feels much more... It might have been
Sunday when I said that to you.
I think it was Saturday.
Okay.
This lineup just has much more depth than it felt like last year.
Yeah, a big part of that is the young guy stepping up. Even Ben Rice, down there in the lineup. The Peraza home run was a shock, and we're not going to be getting much of that out of him. But Volpe, Wells, they've all looked good so far.
Dominguez had a good game yesterday,
and even Dominguez's average hasn't looked good, but he's been working walks. He has 2 hits, I think, through 4 games. But he's been working walks. Well,
I'm not trying to, glaze Jason Dominguez, but I think something which is not to overlook is, look, that series, the entire team's hitting home runs, and he's still taking a lot of good pitches. He's not chasing the zone. And that impressed me for a young kid that's trying to impress the team, just got called up. It's his real first chance of being an everyday player. Something like that impressed me. He played great yesterday against Corbin Burns, who, like we said, is one of the best. So they're pretty much, about Jason Dominguez, they're putting Grisham in at center, Bellinger left, pretty much any close game. How do you feel about that?
I don't like that. I mean, I know I can be a big Jason Dominguez hater. You hear me.
Defensively, he's not
honestly,
good.
Just complain about him. But we had a situation in the Diamondbacks game last night. Rice hit a home run, cut it to 2, I believe.
Yes.
And then you have Trent Grisham coming up in a spot where Jason Dominguez would typically be coming up. That's something Jason Dominguez has got to be capable to play the field so that he can get a late game at bat in that situation. Because that just ruins the offense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when I listen to Boone on Talking Yanks, they're really let's get him through this first homestand. But, look, you're not winning the World Series April 2nd. I would rather him get these growing spurts out of the way now, because I think he's going to be a really big piece of the team come October. You need him in there. So
if he dropped the ball in Yankee Stadium,
everyone would be freaking out.
And he would wilt.
Look, so I get it. Totally wilt. You don't want him losing confidence at the plate. That's what he's there for.
Yeah. He had that play on Saturday where he kind of snow-coned it. He snow-coned it, and then he starts giggling. That's ridiculous.
He still caught the ball.
It doesn't matter.
But, it doesn't matter. He still caught, dude. This. You were complaining.
He doesn't look comfortable out there. He looks like he doesn't know what he's doing.
You're overthinking it just because.
And then the very next at bat, the very next at bat, he took the wrong approach to the ball. according to StatCast, had like a 95% catch rate. He let it drop in front of him, and then after the play, you could see it in his neck. He's like,
look, that one was kind of okay. To me, that's a 50-50. Would you rather die for it? You're up like 8 runs. They were up like 8 runs at this point.
he didn't have to die for it. It had a 95% catch rate.
He's gonna have to learn. You have to.
He had all spring training to learn.
He's been hurt so much in the minor leagues. He hasn't had that much time in the outfield.
Yeah,
but center fielder.
Okay, yeah, but he had all of spring and all of last year when he was up.
He played like 7 games in left field last year.
Yeah, I get that, but it's got to be pretty telling with the way Verdugo was swinging the bat last year that he was a starting left fielder instead of Dominguez.
He didn't hit the cover off the ball either, though. If he hit the cover off the ball, he would have had a chance to play.
No,
I think so
because he was such a liability.
I understand he was a liability, but they didn't even like pinch hit him. He just wasn't ready for the playoffs. He was 21 years old then. Look, Jeter didn't play in his first playoff series.
Yeah, but
I really believe in this kid. They need this kid to be good.
He's the next Gary Sanchez.
I really hope you're wrong about that.
I hope I'm wrong too, but
I think he's a better natural hitter than Gary Sanchez. I know Gary Sanchez had that great year, 2016, his first approach up, and even was a decent power hitter for a catcher. But I see more with Jason Dominguez than Gary.
Yeah,
Sanchez.
But the thing with Gary Sanchez is he was a great hitter when he came up, and then he was a horrible defender.
Catcher's different than
it is. Oh yeah, it is different. But like that leaked into like his lack of confidence.
Maybe that's what Boone could
criticism. Sorry, yeah, I can't stop coughing. All the criticism he got from being so bad defensively leaked into his offensive game, and I get it. Gary Sanchez had bad work ethic, and he was just like a fat slob, honestly. And that Jason Dominguez is not that, but if you mess with his confidence, it's gonna leak into his offensive game, and then he's gonna be a broken player.
I'm sure. Well, I mean, he had a good hitting game yesterday. Look,
he did.
I want him. I'd rather do growing pains and you potentially. Look, the Yankees have no shot of doing any noise if Trent Grisham's their everyday outfielder.
Oh yeah.
So that's why you got to take the risk with this kid.
Yeah, I think they should have left him in the game yesterday because there was one ball I said to you, and you said I was nitpicking, where he took a bad approach, but he caught it and like looked totally fine out there.
Look, if that's any other outfielder, you're watching any movie makes.
I am. I am being overcritical.
And you're not doing that when Trent Grisham or Cody Bellinger, Aaron Judge.
Because they're great outfielders.
Exactly. But if Aaron Judge made that same exact catch that Jason Dominguez, you wouldn't think anything of it. That's the thing.
No, I wouldn't.
You're nitpicking like every step. Look, I don't even care about the snow globe. He caught the ball.
On that play yesterday, I'm nitpicking. No, the snow globe. That's just it just shows that he's not comfortable out there.
He caught the ball.
Yes, he caught the ball.
He took his eye off the ball on that play.
But he looks uncomfortable, and he's definitely overthinking too much. Like you think Judge, Bellinger, Grisham are thinking it that much?
No.
It's like he's scared of it, and he's obviously playing it over and over in his head, and then the opportunity comes, and he's just thinking, don't fuck it up. Or don't mess it up.
He's still 22 years old. So, I mean, he's young.
Yes, he is young, but he's not ready. He's not ready yet.
He is ready. He's a major league hitter.
Then he should be.
He's an above average hitter.
Then he honestly should be DHing.
At this point, you could do that, but that's not you got to think long term. You could. They did DH him that one game. Grisham's going to play. They
did, yeah.
So he is going to get some DH reps in.
I just hate that the next option is Trent Grisham. I love Trent Grisham, but he's not.
He's a great fourth outfielder.
Yeah, he's not an everyday player.
That's the thing. Like, there's no one else to play every day, and Jason Dominguez's bat is the Yankees need that bat. Mm-hmm. He has a great approach to the plate. I love lefty. I love everything about him. Righty, I'm a little concerned about.
Yeah.
But I love his left-handed swing. But okay, let's talk about some starting pitching. Rodon impressed me. Will Warren actually impressed me yesterday.
Yeah, and I hate it for Will Warren. He was in line for the win, and then it got blown.
Stroman was and Fried, the defense. Yeah, he didn't look great, but the defense was really bad that game.
He had the one error. Volpe had the other error. They had 5 errors.
I think Pablo Reyes is 2.
Probably.
Who knows if he ever plays a game again?
Pablo Reyes. Oh my gosh.
Okay, the one problem that I'm worried about the Yankees, and I know there's not a lot to be worried about. Their start, they have no right-handed bench bat. Pablo Reyes pinch hit yesterday.
Yeah, and he pinch hit for Oswaldo.
Yeah, I mean they have no right-handed bat. They just don't. They got to trade for one.
I get it with analytics and everything that maybe that's a better matchup. And Pablo Rice had a good spring, but I would just like my gut feel. I would much rather have Oswaldo up at the plate than Jose Reyes. I think that's just Boone over managing
the righty lefty
a little bit. Yeah,
or I mean, they're both righties,
in that spot. Pablo Rice, that was his first
pinch hit probably ever.
Yeah, and like his first like night game in Yankee Stadium, whatever.
I mean, they weren't going to win that game either way.
Yes, they weren't going to win that game, but Ben Rice hit the home run right before that. Like, I just don't see why you.
Well, that's going to be a problem even with Giancarlo back because the Yankees last year. This really annoyed me last year, and I don't really feel they've improved on it much. Maybe they will because Ben Rice will be a bench player. But their bench, they didn't play any of their bench last year. You look at the Dodgers, Cleveland, the Royals.
They have so much depth.
Those guys have a lot of bench. And I mean, the Cleveland and Royals is different because those are small market teams. But the Dodgers do, too. And like, I want, even like the Mets, I give the Mets credit. They have a DH platoon of two capable hitters with Marte and Winker. I wish the Yankees just had a better bench. And the bench could get better once Stanton's back and if they trade for a third baseman eventually. But I think they need a right-handed bench hitter.
Yeah, and I don't think Oswaldo – like, you're right. We do need to trade for a third baseman because I don't think – Oswaldo's probably one of the best utility guys in baseball.
He's not an everyday player.
But he's not an everyday player.
The name that is just going to keep coming up till if he gets dealt somewhere else is Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
Who have actually
he's had a good start
to the year. I mean – look, that could be a trade deadline thing or just happen anytime. Eventually, they're going to need a third baseman, especially since their ace, the most ground balls to third base by any pitcher, Max Fried. So they need a good defensive third baseman. You saw Reyes have 2 errors. You don't want that with your ace.
And Boone was asked on Talking Yanks if who they put at third base on a Fried start.
And it was Pablo Reyes?
Yeah, and he said that in the future that probably would not happen. So, and even with like Arenado, even if the Cardinals are 500 at the deadline, they're probably going to blow it up.
No,
because they're not playing for anything.
Yeah, there's no shot. Like if they could trade Nolan Arenado, he would have been driven by this Cardinals organization to the destination by now.
When the Cardinals came down to Tampa in spring training to play, he took the trip, and they usually veterans like that usually don't take the trip.
Well, I think he's looking at it. We've talked Arenado all off season, but look, he knows that's the spot he probably wants to be traded. I'm not in his mind. I'm just taking an estimated guess.
Like, I think he looked at that as a showcase, basically, for the Yankees. That's why he went down on that trip to go play against them in spring training. Because a veteran of that stature does not go on a road trip like that. On a 4-hour bus ride to Tampa from wherever they were.
You can argue the bat's not there, but defensively, he's miles. He's a Gold Glover. Not even close. That's what you want out there.
Yeah, and the bat might not be there, but it's not like we're getting Josh Donaldson.
He'd be better than Donaldson.
Yeah. So
Nolan Arenado at 270 last year with 15 home runs. I would take that.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get into a voicemail before we move on to the New York Mets. The Yankees play, actually, by the time you're listening to this, they might be playing now.
Yeah, they probably are.
Or they've already played. But they're playing Zach Gallen, another tough pitcher.
And Rodon's going to be on the mound.
Rodon's on the mound tonight, and Cookie Carrasco tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah.
Hello, this is the Gambler from Lexington, Kentucky. And my question is, who would win in a fight, LeBron James or Stephen A. Smith? My money's on Stephen A. Smith. Thank you.
I have no idea who that is, by the way. But that's kind of funny. Okay, because Stephen A. said that became a story. Clearly, 6'9", 250-pound LeBron James, I think, would win that fight. But
I got Stephen A., honestly.
Yeah?
I
5'9", 180, 190.
Yeah, Stephen A. is a TV personality, podcaster. LeBron's coach, JJ Redick, used to do that, and LeBron's dabbled in that a little bit. They couldn't handle being on TV and podcasting, so they had to go back to the NBA and that sort of thing.
I wonder who called. I have no idea who that is.
I thought that was your sister.
That's not my sister's. Either one. Okay, moving on to the New York Mets. They are 2-3 at the time of this. They're playing right now. I'm not sure the exact score. That first series, besides Juan Soto, they had no offense. 2 nights ago, I believe it was, they had 10 runs. But the offense has been a little shaky. I mean, they're playing the Marlins right now, who they killed the Marlins Monday but lost yesterday. The way I look at it is I think some Mets fans are either going to be right on this with me or disagreeing with me. I don't like Pete Alonso hitting third with after Juan Soto. I just don't think he's that player.
Where would you?
I'd rather Mark Vientos. Okay. I think Mark Vientos has more potential. We know what Alonso is. Alonso is a 220, 230 guy 35 home runs, but he's not that guy, in my opinion, you want at the 3 spot.
See, I've always, this whole winter, been saying that they got to re-sign Alonso to make like a Walmart version of Judge Soto.
But it's worse than a Walmart. Like, Aaron Judge hits 100+ more average.
Yeah, I mean, anyone with Juan Soto.
Putting Pete Alonso with Aaron Judge's name is just, it's not even close.
Yeah, you're right.
I know people used to compare them just because the New York power guys. Alonso had a great start to his Mets career. He used to be a 260, 270 hitter. He's just not that anymore. And I don't think he ever will be that again. That's just my take on it. Yeah,
I think we should see how this plays out. But to this point, I think you might be overreacting a little bit. I see potential in that.
That lineup.
In that 1-2-3.
I don't at all. I mean, I don't love Alonso. I'd rather Vientos and Lindor. Look, Lindor's so hard to evaluate now because he's such an awful player for some reason the first month or two every year. But then he turns into an MVP caliber player. Nimmo's like, he's a good player, but they have one awesome hitter in Juan Soto, really, really good player in Francisco Lindor. And then after that, is it Vientos or Alonso? Like, there's some question marks. And that lineup's been a little more shaky than I expected to start the year off.
Yeah, it's the first series.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Overreactions coming here. But from what I've evaluated so far from them, their offense is disappointing me. Honestly, their starting pitching
has been really good.
I wouldn't say that, but it's been better than I expected.
They've had a 2.6 ERA to start the year.
I mean, yeah, their pitching has been. Their offense has been not good.
Pitching overall has been good. Yeah, their offense has not been good.
They just don't have an ace. That's an issue. I mean, they already started talking. Literally, the Mets openly were talking about trading for Sandy Alcondar, who's an awesome pitcher for the Marlins.
And who pitched against them yesterday. Yeah.
But I mean, right now they only one run through 6 against the Marlins, who one of the worst teams in baseball. This lineup should be a lot better than what I've seen so far. It will be, but look, I just don't love Pete Alonso as a player. That's just my take from this.
Yeah, I mean, last year he had a really down year for his standard.
2023 did too. Kind of.
Yeah, you're right. And I think this whole contract thing that he had this offseason maybe could mess with his confidence a little bit. I don't know. Pete Alonso isn't the most like stable guy when it comes to confidence, and like he can get rattled. So
yeah, I mean, look, the Mets. It's gonna be interesting to see how this team plays out. The starting pitching, everyone's looking at. We all assume a move's coming. I'm just gonna, if I was a betting man, I would bet they're gonna make us move for Sandy or Dylan Cease. They need to trade for a pitcher because Sean Manaea actually just got shut down from his rehab, so he's going to miss some more time. So now it's probably a June-July thing. Montas, we don't know when he's going to come back. And look, that rotation's holding up, but it's not good enough. It's just not at the end of the day.
Yeah, they definitely need more pieces in that rotation.
And how do you feel about the Mets? Like, that lineup, I mean, I had really high hopes for it.
It's just really, with any team in baseball, I feel like you can't get too ahead of yourselves with it. It's April 2nd today.
Well, look, I said this to you yesterday. If you equivalent to football, two different sports, but
you're right.
162 divided by 17, there's 17 games of football, is a little over 23 with the decimal. So in hindsight, think of it this way. Week 1 is after 23 games in football. And so in hindsight, we're overreacting like the first quarter of the NFL season.
Yeah.
If you want to think of it that way. But look, I mean, it's what we're watching right now. It's such a long season. Like, we got to evaluate what we see.
I think there definitely needs to be some tinkers with the back end of that lineup. But for now, I think you should try to keep it like this and like try to let it work out.
I wonder.
And maybe then move Vientos up. But it's not just Pete Alonso that's been playing bad.
Well,
like
their lineup's been
that
bad.
whole
Their lineup's just bad so far.
So
something I've wondered is, I know Soto said this when he was in San Diego and he hit third with them. He prefers to hit 3. Last year with the Yankees, he hit 2 because he had Aaron Judge on his team. I thought they were going to go back to that with him, and it was going to be Lindor, Vientos, especially since Lindor and Soto against a righty is lefty-lefty. Lindor a switch hitter, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you can switch up.
You are right about that. I didn't even.
I don't know. I guess Carlos Mendoza must have saw what he liked what Soto did at 2 last year. I mean, he had a career year, so I guess that's a good point. But
maybe
I wonder if they can tinker with that.
Yeah, maybe he's thinking what I'm thinking about the Soto Alonso, because Alonso hasn't been unlocked in a couple years. So like maybe he thinks that
Alonso's more of a 4-hitter than me. That makes more sense to me, in my opinion.
Yeah, because he's not as much of a pure hitter. So
and then I feel like Soto could drive more guys in if he's at 3, because Soto is the RBI guy this year. Last year it was Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
So
and Judge protected Soto last year. I like what you're cooking up with Lindor, Vientos, Soto.
I think that
Alonso.
makes a lot more sense than Soto at 2 and Alonso at 3.
Yeah, I think you're right on this one.
That's what I like. Look, that's why I think I've said this in January whenever we started this. I wonder if they'll switch it up eventually. Look, there's still so much time. Who knows how? Like, look, who knows who the Yankees leadoff hitters in August? Who knows who's even on these teams in August? You just gotta wait and see. But I mean, look, I'm glad baseball's back. I love overreacting the first week of the season. My brother, who typically is the biggest Yankees hater, and I'm like, oh god, Yankees are gonna have a slow start and this kid's gonna say the season's over. He said the World Series is back on after the weekend.
It is back on.
Yankee fans are feeling good after the first weekend.
We are.
Offense looks great, which is fun to see.
Offense looks amazing, and the AL definitely is weaker than the NL. So
yeah,
I feel like it still is the Yankees to lose.
Boston. I mean, Rafael Devers. I just want to talk about that. That's a story. I mean, you think it's just he's being a baby because of the third base situation, because he's full-time DH.
I don't necessarily. I think he's fat and out of shape, and he just had shoulder surgery, and his swing is slower, definitely. And I think he is pouting a little bit about his situation. But the thing I don't understand about his situation is he already has his big contract, so it's not like I could see it if he was a young guy, and it was like them moving him out, and if he was a full-time DH and he was 25 years old, hitting free agency in 3 years, then if I was him, I understand why he would make a big stink about it, saying like, oh, you're messing with my money and everything. But he just signed his big contract like 2 years ago, and he's under contract, I think, until 2031 or 33. Don't quote me on either of those. But he's under contract for a long time, and he is a worse third baseman than Bregman. So, like, I feel like this is just the right move for the organization and gives them the best chance to win.
So, I get what you're saying. Look, like, I think when you paid Rafael Devers, you're taking that sacrifice. And in my opinion, he's their best player. You got to play him in his position to keep him engaged because you need him so much. And I saw this with Giancarlo Stanton and Yordan Alvarez, where I think they both talked about it. Both their stats just went way down as a DH than when they played the field, because they said they felt like they weren't engaged at all.
Yeah, they fell out of it.
I mean, think of it. You hit and you sit for an hour. Like, it's gotta be interesting.
I don't know. You get paid so much money to do that. I feel like you gotta just adapt a new routine or something. Maybe go down to the cage, keep yourself warm. Like,
I think he's got to just adapt. I mean, he seems frustrated.
In sport,
of course, he's 15 strikeouts.
Yeah, in sport in general, we just overreact to stuff like this, and we need to because it gives us stuff to talk about. Yeah. But it's like you're getting paid
$30 million.
Yeah, $30 million. Like, figure it out and like hit.
I get what you're saying. Like, he should suck it up. Like,
and you
gotta do what the coach says. I still believe in that. Like,
he's a great player. He's a great player. He's a team leader and all that. But that I don't feel like that gives him an excuse to pout and say like they're like messing around with me.
Yeah.
David Ortiz was their team leader, fair. And he was their DH. Like, yeah, I don't know.
You want to get another voicemail?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, he signed a 10-year, $315 million contract.
In
way
23,
back.
right?
Yeah, so it's just starting.
Hey, boys, love this show. This is Pete from Connecticut. Big Red Sox fan here.
Yeah.
Really love Boston and the young players they've got. They've got this pitcher, Richard Fitz. Do you think he's got a chance? Dick Fitz in the rotation? What do you think?
Yeah, he has a funny name. I know he's a rookie, and I think he had a pretty good first start, right?
Yeah, he went 6 innings with 3 earned runs against the Rangers, I believe.
My dad's actually calling me right now. It's kind of funny. But, yeah, I mean, all right, funny call.
Yeah. 3 earned runs against the Rangers. He took the loss. The Red Sox only put up 2 runs.
I think the Red Sox are 1-4 to start the year.
Yeah, 1-4, 1-3. Did they play today already?
I don't know.
They're 1-3 to start the year.
They extended Garrett Crochet, who's a great pitcher, and then they extended somebody else. I mean, there's been a lot of extensions early on.
Yeah, they extended a young rookie after 5 games. I know
I want the Yankees to start doing that, dude.
Yeah, you mentioned
like Austin Wells.
Yeah, and you mentioned to me the other day about Jazz. I see them doing it with Wells. I don't think Volpe. Wells, I think, has a much higher ceiling than Volpe, and that's why I think he has more potential. So it would be a smarter contract. Jazz, I think it's too late to get on it because he hits free agency after next year.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, and he's definitely coming to his own more and more. He's more comfortable with the Yankees. He feels like he's free, gets to go out there and do whatever he wants. I love the dynamic that they have with him and Judge. Honestly, he almost seems like Judge's little brother in a sense, but he's like totally bought in on that.
Yeah, I mean, he seems happy.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize this. I didn't. I saw this stat that since the trade deadline when he got traded to the Yankees, he has the 4th best WAR in the MLB.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Only behind Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt, and
Ohtani.
Yeah, I think it was. I actually don't think it was.
I think Bryce Harper might have been on that.
It was someone. He was 4th, but I think it's because he had a slow postseason. But he's been great since he's been a Yankee. I mean, they've gotten more than they can ask for in that trade. But my point is, I wish the Yankees. This is kind of a small market team thing where you extend a guy before he hits free agency or is even close. I wish the Yankees started doing that. Why not lock up Austin Wells now? Austin Wells is going to be a top 5 catcher. He might already be a top 5 catcher.
I see it with Wells. That's the only guy honestly.
Chisholm, I can just see him being I want my money. Chisholm's playing better. The Yankees are probably going to offer him a lowball deal in his mind because he's been playing so well for them recently. Volpe, that's a tough one. If you think about extending, I don't know if you do that yet. Wells, I think.
Volpe, I definitely would not. So. If anything with Volpe, and Volpe would never go for this because it's just not smart of the player. Buy out all of his arbitration years.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
Jazz, have you been seeing Jazz's Twitter lately?
He's beefing with Dave Portnoy about the
Dave Portnoy and
what else did he do?
And just people in general. He was calling people.
He's having fun.
Oh, he's having so much fun. He was calling people idiots about the torpedo bats.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find this one tweet. I can't remember what it was. He was someone. Because remember when he was with the Marlins and then it was this whole thing about the
Miguel
culture
Rojas?
of the
Is
organization, whatever. And someone asked him don't you have something to be complaining about or something?
He said no, I'm on the Yankees.
He said no because I'm a Yankee. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's really happy and look, I think the Yankees need a guy like Jazz. I think when you think of the Yankees, you think of just robots, especially the old days, not guys gonna show emotion really, not guys that are gonna do. They were George was a military background. You kind of thought of that type style. And now you have Jazz, who I think is good for the environment. He's a different type of player, and he could be himself. With the Marlins, I mean, he got so bad with the hazing, the way he was. Dom Manley had to step in and be like, guys, stop it. He was the best player in the Marlins, too.
Yeah,
it's funny.
And, I mean, that's what happens. You see, and you see it in, high school sports and stuff when a young guy comes up and some of the older guys are a little bit pissed off a little bit that they're getting an opportunity, and it is like high school and high school stuff to be hazing a young guy. And the Miami Marlins, that's
Miami
insane.
Marlins.
Oh, so the tweet was, shouldn't you be crying about locker room stuff? And he said, nah, I play for the Yankees, so I'm chilling.
That's funny. Do we have any other voicemails?
Yeah, we do. We got a couple more. We got 2 more.
Go through these 2.
Yeah.
Big Apple Breakdown. Love the show. This is Lou in New Jersey. Hey, remember in February when I called and I said the Yankees were going to hit more home runs in 2025 than they did last year? And you laughed at me? How do you feel about that now? Let's go, Yanks.
Well, thanks for the call. Well, clearly, they're on pace to break that, but look, it's 5 games.
Yeah.
4 games,
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
It's a great pace, a great first weekend.
I hope we're wrong.
And, yeah, it'd be nice if we break that record. But I just care more about we got to win more ball games this year and finish the job this year.
162 games, but it's 4 games. It's 4. There's going to be slow spurts in the season, of course, and I don't want to get too high. It's April. You can't get too high.
Oh yeah, no.
The season doesn't start till Memorial Day week.
That's why even like when we're watching some of these games, you're like, Henry, you're not even excited. I'm just sitting there thinking like, all right, it's early.
It's early. You're right. Like it's fun to get excited, but it's so early. It's such a long season.
Yeah, like
we're all excited. Baseball's back.
Yeah. You were accusing me on the Saturday game of when I forget what I was saying.
You were nitpicking
I forget what I was
any
saying.
little small detail.
But you and Mark were basically counting it as a win, and I was like, slow down, guys.
Yeah, that's funny.
The thing that's also funny about Saturday, we got off to that hot start, 4 home runs in the first inning, and then the Brewers hit a home run.
Well,
right?
defensively, we were awful. No, I don't think they hit a home run.
It was
defensively, we were a mess Saturday.
And, it was the errors. It was the errors, and then it's just like that, like you let a team right back into the game, and then obviously we hit 5 more home runs and went off, but I don't know. Defense just has to not play.
Well, look, I mean, anytime Yankees are gonna have a bad defensive performance, it's just gonna be like, oh my god, like I thought we were fixing this. That's something where for this year it's gonna be a sensitive subject. If they lose a game off defense, fans are gonna be just go off, call in on the New York sports shows, be like, same old crap from last year. Defense is horrible. We can't do the fundamentals in Bronx.
I'm not gonna lie, that game on Saturday was giving me some flashbacks.
Except they won 20-9.
Oh, I'm saying in that situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course.
Obviously, then it changed.
Look, every Yankee fan's gonna have that nightmare probably for the rest of their lives. That's just gonna be one of those that, in sports moments, you'll never forget. The Game 5, 5th inning.
Yeah.
So yeah, anytime an error happens, it's gonna be on someone's mind. That's just the unfortunate scenario.
Yeah.
Volpe is such an interesting defensive shortstop. He makes plays that are so spectacular, but then he makes plays that I'm like, any shortstop I feel like can make.
The one on Saturday, I will back him up. The base runner slid right into him.
Yeah.
So that's not really like his fault, but because especially if this was 10 years ago, I would say it's his fault. But now these days, you're not really expecting to get slid into like that. So I don't really put that on him.
Look, I don't got much to complain about. I mean, I wish they were 4-0, but beggars can't be choosers. I'm liking the vibe of the team.
It comes down to like Mark, and you really can't pin that on Leiter because
it's just baseball. He's not going to be the 8th inning.
He came in a jam, and he was trying to get them out of that inning. Came down to the final strike, like to the last. He was a strike away from getting them out of that inning, and he let up a. It's not the short porch. It's out there in left field, but it's shorter than a lot of other ballparks. Let up a little short home run there. So
happens.
It does happen. So let's do the last voicemail.
Last voicemail, yeah. We can wrap it up.
With Melo getting elected into the Hall of Fame, how do we feel about him being a bitch every time it comes to sharing the court with another superstar? He single-handedly put an end to the greatest thing to ever happen for the New York Knicks organization, Linsanity.
Well, congrats to Melo making Hall of Fame. That's awesome. New York sports legend. That's a different argument. Look, Melo had his things for being selfish. He was such a great ISO scorer. Could never really play with other great superstars, but even with that, then like those Knicks teams, they were good, but they were never great, especially during the Miami Heat era. They never really had a chance of winning.
And especially with what they gave up to get Melo, it was hard to build that team up.
Yeah, and the Heat was going on in that era. It was tough for them to get over that.
Yeah, just Melo and Amar Stoudemire, and then
Stoudemire kept getting hurt. Then.
Yeah.
They were good to get. Stoudemire was awesome for the Knicks right away. But he just kept having injuries. And look, they were in a tough era. That's when the Miami Heat were going on. They were never going to beat them. They played them actually 1 year in the first round. They lost in 5. But they never had a shot against the Heat. And
then even in Melo's late years, they like the Porzingis team with D Rose.
Those teams are
like
just bad.
Yeah.
That again, I don't really blame that on him. I mean, he could have been more unselfish. Melo always did what's best for him. He always took his money. I can't hate the guy. The guy had a great career, Hall of Famer.
And he's
one of the best scorers ever.
Yeah, and he's an Olympic great.
Olympic great, yep.
So, probably the most decorated Olympic basketball player ever.
It's probably Durant now.
Oh,
in my opinion. Yeah.
It could be Durant now,
especially after they just won it. But any other thoughts?
No, not really. I did want to mention this, though, so, for those of you who follow college basketball, Bryce Hopkins, he was a senior this year at Providence, and his freshman year he went to the University of Kentucky, where we go to school. And I just think this is kind of funny. He just transferred for his 5th year to
St. John's.
Yeah. And for you New York college basketball fans, I had a class with him freshman year here. It was a low entry-level freshman class, and one of the assignments was we had to go to group academic coaching, where they would give us all these like tips and whatever. And at the end of it, they had us all stand up and tell the class how we could use these next 4 years of college. And Bryce Hopkins stood up and said, "Oh, well, this will maybe help me for the next few months, but like it's not going to help me after that." Just like insinuating like, "Oh, I'm going to the NBA draft."
That's funny.
After the March Madness tournament.
And he's never going to be in the NBA.
And he's never going to be, not even never going to be in the NBA. He's transferring for his 5th year of college. He's on his 3rd school. And yeah, I just thought that was funny.
That's funny.
So
if you're St. John's fans,
yeah, little Kentucky and New York basketball news. So yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Coming up next week, we'll keep talking baseball, NFL draft coming up, and NBA playoffs coming up. We'll be covering that all playoffs long. Thank you guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys.